make sure you are watching the video the whole way through, as always. The first thing that you need to know is that there's going to be no worksheet for today's lesson. We're no longer using worksheets for our maths lessons, which means all of the questions will be on the video. All of the questions that I'm going to answer and I'm going to model to you are going to be in red. That means if you see a question in red, it's a question that I'm going to demonstrate to you. The questions you're going to do are the questions in green. These are your questions which should be completed on a piece of paper and they will be numbered throughout the video. Throughout the video, you need to look out for the pause button. And when I ask you to, you're going to pause the video and answer the questions in green. So the pause button will either look like this, or perhaps maybe I've forgotten to put it on one of the slides, in which case I'll quickly draw it as a circle with 2 lines in like that. So when I ask you to pause the video, just pause the video, answer the questions in green, and when you finish answering them, unpause the video and keep on going. It's really important that you're trying your hardest to show it's really important you're trying your hardest to show integrity when we're doing this work. That means don't just watch me explain the answer and then go to do the question. In order for you to be successful learners, you need to be taking every opportunity seriously. If I start seeing every single child in year 6 has got every single question right all of the time, that tells me that perhaps we're not actually trying it for ourselves first. Also, there might be a couple of mistakes in my video, either on purpose or by mistake. In which case, if you write down the exact answer I've said, which is wrong, and then you've ticked it right, that tells me that you're not actually doing the work for yourself. You're just waiting to see what I tell you the answer is. Now, obviously, the majority of my answers will be the correct answers, but it's important for you to know that I will be looking out for any suspicious work that's uploaded. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is your morning arithmetic, just like before. I'd like you to please pause the video now and answer these 6 questions. Okay, if you haven't answered those 6 questions, you need to pause the video now and answer them because I'm about to go through the answers. Remember, this is your first opportunity to show integrity, so I hope you all are doing that. Okay, the first question was actually a missing number multiplication question. 19 times what is equal to 228? Well, in order to find what I times by, I actually need 228 divided by 19. How many times does 19 fit into 2? 0. Into 22 once. Let's subtract to find our remainder. That's going to be 3. Bring down the 8. How many times does 19 fit into 38? Twice. My missing number there then was 12. So remember, in order to solve a missing number problem, you're going to have to do the inverse. These 2 questions were similar questions, and I've put 2 of them in today because we're actually going to be converting different units of measure, and so we need to be able to times and divide by powers of 10. So 56.789 times, so that's getting bigger, 100, 2 places. Down, 1, 2. Sorry, down, 1, 2. Down, 1, 2, and such. 5,678.9. I would really appreciate it if in today's lesson you would use the correct method to times and divide by 10, 100 and 1,000. I imagine that some of you might be thinking in your heads or might have already skipped doing the correct steps in order to do this because you think you can do it in your heads. Whilst I appreciate that you might be able to do some of these questions in your heads, you're more likely to make a silly mistake, and if you use the correct method, you definitely won't make a mistake. So we're dividing here by 10, 1 place to the right, 4.659. Question 4 was a BIDMAS question, and it was actually quite a tricky one. So we go through BIDMAS, starting with B for brackets. Are there any brackets? Yes. Inside of the brackets first, we must do our indices. 2 squared is 4. Okay, and now I do the rest of the brackets. 2 plus 4 is 6. Okay, I can say I've completed all of my brackets then. Is there division? No. Multiplication? Yes. Solve it. 3 times 4 is 12. Is there addition? Yes. Solve it. 12 plus 6 is equal to 18. Your final answer then should have been 18. Right, to find 40%, I'll start with 10%. 10% of 630 is 63. Now to find 40%, I'm obviously timesing by 4. You could do that in your head if you think you're capable, or you can use the formal written method as such. But your answer should be 252. Now this question here, again, there's multiple ways you could do it. You could do 3 times 4, which is 12, and 1/4 times 4, which is 1. Add them up, and that's 13. Another way you could do it is to make that a top-heavy fraction. 3 times 4 add 1 makes 13 over 4 times 4. Then do it as of. 4 divided by 4 is 1 times 13 is 13. The other way you could have done it is multiplying out like that. So you would have done 13 times 4, which would have given you 52. And then you're dividing it by 4, which you know also is 13. Those are the 3 different methods. It's up to you which way you solve that question. Right. The next work that you're going to do is this morning reasoning. Your first question is a rounding question. Holly works out the answer to 135.66 plus 193.88 on her calculator. Her answer is shown here. Round her answer to the nearest 10, 100, integer, or to 1 decimal place. If you can't remember what an integer is, I'll explain after this, after you've had a go by yourself. Then your next group of questions, you're looking to find the mean length of these 6 caterpillars. Remember, we looked at how to do that on Friday. There's 2 steps, add up all your values and divide it by however many there are. What fraction of James's dart scores were over 100? Find that as a fraction, please. And then finally, what is his mean score? So that's how you do all of those questions. Pause the video now and have a go at all of those questions. Okay, if you haven't paused the video and tried those questions, you need to pause the video and do the questions. I'm not at home with you. I can't ensure that you're showing integrity and doing your work your hardest, but you know when it's what's the right thing to do, and you know you need to have a go at doing these questions by yourself. So I'm rounding this to the nearest 10. Underline your 10 and circle your ones. That would tell me I'm rounding up to 330. I don't put 0.00 because I'm making it the nearest 10. I don't need a decimal place. When I'm rounding to the nearest 100, I'd underline my 100 and circle my 10s. That rounds down to 300. Integer just means whole number. So if you're rounding this to the nearest integer, you need to underline your ones. If you didn't know what integer meant, quickly pause the video and have a go at doing it now. Otherwise, I'm going to go through the answer now. I'm underlining my ones and circling my tenths, telling me to round up. So I'll round that up to 330. Finally, to 1 decimal place means I underline my first decimal place. That's my tenths, my 5. Then I circle my hundredths, which is a 4, telling me to round down, 329.5. OK, to find the mean length of these caterpillars, first I need to add them up. 10 add 10 is 20. 7 add 13 is 20. And 5 add 6 is 11. Adding all of that together will give me 51. Now I need to divide it by however many caterpillars there were. I'm doing 51 divided by 6. How many 6s into 5? 0. Regroup 5. How many 6s into 51? Well, I know 6 times 6, I know 8 times 6 is 48. So it's 8, and then I'm regrouping 3. How many 6s into 30? That's 5. So my mean length is 8.5 centimetres. Well done if you got that one, because that was new learning from last week. OK, James plays 6 games of dart. His scores are 120, 71, 80, 14, 90 and 117. What fraction of his scores were over 100? Well, first, how many games did he play? He played 6 games. Now let's count how many over 100. 1, no, 2. That's 2 sixths. It didn't ask for it in its simplest form, but if it had, we could have simplified that to 1/3. Now, the second part of this question was asking us to find the mean score. Remember, we need to add up and then divide. So let's start adding. This will be a little bit harder because the numbers are a little bit trickier. Looking for patterns then, nice and easily, I'm going to start by doing 120 add 80, giving me 200. OK? I'd probably then take 71 and 14 and add them together because there's no regrouping, giving me 85. I'd add that up to have 285. Now I'm going to add 90 to that nice and quickly. That's going to give me 375, and I'd add 117, bringing me to 492. If you didn't do this question because you couldn't be bothered to add up all of those numbers, please make sure you're showing a lot of effort and adding them up. You all know how to add. You can add much harder numbers than that, but I do understand it takes a little while and you prefer to do things quickly. However, it is really important to be trying your hardest for all of these questions. So I now need to know how many times does 6 fit into 492? How many 6s into 4? None. How many 6s into 49? Well, I know 6 fits into 42 and it fits into 48. So I'm going to go 48. That's 8 times. Regroup the 1. How many 6s into 12 is 2. So his mean score, oops, I don't know what's happened there. His mean score was 82. Well done if you got those arithmetic and reasoning questions done. Right, I'd like you to pause the video now and write today's date and Walt. Pause the video now to write today's date and Walt neatly and carefully. We're going to move on now, so if you haven't written today's date and Walt and underlined it with a ruler, it's time to do that, please. Today, we're going to be reading, writing and recognising and converting metric measures. Metric is a unit of measurement where you're working with powers of 10. For example, that could be 1,000 metres in 1 kilometre. Kilometres and metres are metric units of measurement. There are also other systems of measurement called imperial systems of measurement. We're not going to be using those today, so that's things like miles. We're not going to be looking at miles though. Today, we're looking at metres and kilometres and the following other measurements. We will be focusing on grams, millimetres, litres, millilitres, metres, kilograms and centimetres. So here is your first independent question. On your piece of paper, you need to write number 1. I'm going to ask you to sort these different units of measurement into length, mass and capacity. For example, next to where I've written number 1, I would write length equals and then write down a unit of measurement I know to be length. I'll do the first one for you. Millimetres is length. You then need to find the other units of measurement for length, for mass and for capacity or volume. Please can you pause the video now and have a go at question 1, which is sorting these units of measurement into the correct types of measure: length, mass and capacity. Have a go at that now, please. Okay, if you haven't finished sorting these, you need to make sure you're pausing the video whilst you sort them. I'm going to go through the answers now, so make sure you've got a coloured pen or a highlighter in order to mark your work. Grams is a unit of measurement for mass. Millimetres, we've already said, is for length. Litres is capacity, as is millilitres. Metres for length, centimetres length, and kilograms for mass. Mark all of those, please, and we're going to move on to the next piece of work. Okay, we're just going to make sure in the first part of the lesson we know roughly what each of those units of measurement is worth so that we can estimate different measures. So our first unit of measurement is a gram. This will be written with a G for gram. Things that weigh about a gram is 1 single paperclip, 1 pinch of salt, 1 piece of chewing gum, or the cap of a pen lid. Not if you've got one of those fancy pen lids which has got all sorts of feathers sticking out of it, a normal biro's lid. Those things are about 1 gram. If you have any of those things handy, go and grab them and hold them in your hand and see how light a gram is. The next unit of measurement in weight is a kilogram. A kilogram is roughly the same as a kilogram bag of rice or sugar or flour, 1 pineapple, 1 litre of water, or one of the small dictionaries that we have in school. So those things are worth about a kilogram. If you have any of those items in your house, pause the video now and go and feel them and see how heavy and light each of them are. Are you surprised by any of that? If you were surprised by any of that, let me know in your seesaw comments. So, a gram, a paperclip, a pen cap, a pinch of salt, a kilogram, a litre of water, a bag of rice. Try and remember one of those, whichever one seems best to you. I might choose a piece of gum for my grams, and I'm going to choose a dictionary for my kilograms. Every time I think about a gram or a kilogram, I'm going to say, is it like a piece of gum? Is it like a dictionary? So, my first question then is, which unit of measurement would you measure the weight of an apple in? When you're thinking about this, you need to think, is it more appropriate to measure it in grams or kilograms? So remember, a kilogram would be the same as a pineapple, which, as we know, are much, much bigger, is 1 kilogram for those. A gram is 1 tiny piece of gum. So which unit of measure would we use in order to measure an apple? I would measure it in grams. It's not yet the weight of a kilogram, so I would measure it in grams, in pieces of gum. There are 1,000 grams in a kilogram, and an apple is usually around 400 grams, let's say. So I would use grams to measure an apple. The next question is over to you. This is question 2 for you to write down independently on your piece of paper. What would you use to measure the weight of a chair? Pause the video. What are you going to use to measure a chair? Grams or kilograms? I'm going to go through the answer now, so make sure you've got your coloured pen ready to mark. Grams would not be appropriate for a chair. It's too light. It would be lots and lots of grams. We would go in kilograms to measure a chair. It's heavier than a dictionary, so we would use kilograms. Okay, question 3 on your independent piece of paper. What would you use to measure the weight of a baby bird? Grams or kilograms? Basically, do you think it's heavier or lighter than a pineapple or a dictionary? If you think it's lighter, you'd use grams. If you think it's heavier, kilograms. Pause the video now and answer this question, please. Okay, to measure a baby bird, kilograms are too heavy. You would do it in grams. Birds are very light, especially baby ones. Okay, moving on to volumes then. We need to have clear in our head some set volume measurements to help us remember. There are 1,000 millilitres in 1 litre. A milliliter is about the same as 1 drop of rain. A large drop of rain is 1 milliliter. A litre is one of those bottles of water. I don't mean the little ones, I mean the wide ones like Buxton's or Volvic, the larger bottles of water you can get, or about 4 glasses of water. So you've got a drop of rain or a large bottle of water. To help you out as well, some other things that might help you. The volume of water on a teaspoon, if you've got a teaspoonful of water, that's about 5 millilitres. A can of Coke, that's 330. One of those big bottles of fizzy drinks or water is 2 litres. So you've got some of those approximations in your head. We're now going to think about which of these would be best in order to measure. What would you use in order to measure the volume of an inflatable paddling pool? Millilitres, so that's a drop of rain, or litres, bottles of water? Pause the video and answer question 4 on your piece of paper. Okay, it would be far too difficult to measure that in drops of water. We'd do that in litres. We would measure the volume of a paddling pool in litres. Okay, and what would you use to measure the volume of a ladle of gruel? If you were like poor unlucky Jim in Street Child, would that be in millilitres or would that be in litres? Remember what 1 litre is, one of those large bottles of water. So is a ladle of gruel more or less than a bottle of water? Okay, a ladle would probably be measured in millilitres. You can see how large that ladle is there. It's not as big as a whole litre of water. Moving on to length then. With length, there's actually more measurements that we know and that we're expected to remember for length. We know first that there's 1,000 metres in a kilometre. Okay, 1,000 metres in 1 kilometre. That has the same comparison when we're looking at 1,000 millilitres to 1 litre, and also when we're looking at 1,000 grams to a kilogram. So for weight, capacity or volume and length, they all have 1,000 in 1,000 grams in a kilogram, 1,000 millilitres in a litre, and 1,000 metres in a kilometre. The only units of measurement that don't fit that 1,000 rule are centimetres and millimetres. They're the only ones you need to remember. Remember that everything is 1,000 into 1, apart from centimetres into metres and millimetres into centimetres. So a millimetre is about the width of a piece of card. If you had a piece of card and you turned it sideways, it's the tiny, tiny little measurement there. A centimetre would be the width of your exercise book or perhaps a fingernail. 1 metre could be about the same as an adult's arm span if they held their 2 arms side by side, or try and imagine one of the metre rulers your teacher uses in class in order to underline her date and what. 1 kilometre then is about the distance, I've checked this on Google Maps, from Ark Franklin all the way down the road to that Sainsbury's by Ladbroke Grove. Okay, so that's 1 kilometre, quite a long way. So we've got the distance from school to the big Sainsbury's is 1 kilometre. A metre is a metre ruler or an adult's arm span. Centimetre, imagining it on your little ruler, it's a small measurement, the width of an exercise book. And 1 millimetre is those teeny tiny measurements. So what would you use to measure the length of the playground? I've taken these pictures from the school website. Question 6 on your piece of paper to do independently. Pause the video. What would you use to measure the playground? Millimetres, centimetres, metres, or kilometres? Okay, hopefully you've answered question 6 on your piece of paper and you're ready to mark it now. Millimetres is far too small, as is centimetres. So I'm now thinking metres. Is the playground as big as 1 metre? Yes. Is it as big as a kilometre from school to Ladbroke Grove? No. That leaves me with metres. I would measure the school playground in metres. Question 7 then, what would you use to measure the length of the Great Wall of China? Millimetres, centimetres, metres, or kilometres? Pause the video and make your guess. Well done if you said kilometres. It would take far too long to measure the Great Wall of China using millimetres. Okay, so now it's your turn to have a go at these 6 questions completely independently on your piece of paper. You're going to do question 8 to question 13 in a moment. You need to tell me which unit of measure you would use to measure the length of a pencil, the mass of a sharpener, the volume of a can of Coke, the volume of water in a bath, the mass or the weight of a horse, and the length of a door. Pause the video now and tell me what would you use for each number. On your piece of paper, you could simply write 8 equals, and then let's say you're going to use kilometres to measure the length of a pencil. Hopefully not. So that's what it should look like. Please pause the video and have a go at those questions. Okay, the length of a pencil should be measured in centimetres, the mass of a sharpener in grams, the volume of a can of Coke in millilitres, water in a bath in litres, mass of a horse definitely kilograms, the length of the door metres, or perhaps centimetres. That's the only one where I can see you might use either or. Okay, we're going to move on now, and we're going to now start guessing which would be the best estimate for the capacity or the volume or the weight of something. So this question says, what's the best estimate for the capacity of a cup of water? Try and remember in your head, we said 1 millilitre is a drop of water. 5 millilitres is a teaspoon. A can of Coke. Can you remember how many millilitres in a can of Coke? 330. And what about one of those big bottles of Coke? That's 2 litres. So in a glass of water, would we call that, or would we estimate that to be 250 millilitres, 23 millilitres, or 2.5 litres? Definitely not 2.5 litres. It's not bigger than one of those enormous Coke bottles. 23 millilitres would be just 5 teaspoons of water, so it's definitely not that. Most glasses of water are about 250 millilitres. Okay, this question is for you to have a go at. You're going to pause the video and you're going to try and work out what would be the best estimate for the mass of a very small little kitten. 25 kilograms, 250 grams, or 9 grams. Remembering what weighs the same as a gram and what weighs the same as a kilogram. Pause the video and have a go. Okay, for this one, 9 grams is not heavy enough and 25 kilograms is far too heavy. 250 grams was the correct estimate there. Going to have a go at this one. It says, which is the best estimate for the length of a netball court? 5 kilometres, that's to and from Sainsbury's 5 times. 340 centimetres or 30 metres? Which is the best estimate for the length of a netball court? Pause the video and write down your answer. Okay, it's not as big as to and from Sainsbury's 5 times. 340 centimetres, that would just be 3 metre rulers and a little bit more. It's much longer than that. It's actually 30 metres. A netball court would be 30 metres. Right, over to you then completely for these 3 questions. You're going to do 3 in a row. Pause the video and do these 3 questions on your piece of paper. You can either write question 16 is going to be A, or you could write question 16 is going to be 9 litres, or whatever you think the answer is. Okay? Please do these 6 questions. Okay, you should have completed all 6 questions. If you haven't done these 6 questions, you need to pause the video and do those questions now, please. What's the best estimate for the capacity of a swimming pool? 400 litres. The width of a garden gate, 8 metres, 84 millimetres, or 84 centimetres? It's 84 centimetres. And then the capacity of a saucepan, 13 millilitres, that's 13 drops of water, 300 or 31 litres. We would go for 300 millilitres there. Okay, we're now going to look at how to do our conversions. So when it comes to length, remember, in fact, we're going to go here first. Remember, I said most metric units of measurement have 1,000 small items in the large one. So there are 1,000 grams in a kilogram, and there are 1,000 millilitres in a litre. There are 1,000 metres in a kilometre. So remember, for most metric units of measurement, there are 1,000. The only 2 exceptions you need to remember are centimetres and millimetres. But luckily for you, they're the units of measurement you've got the most experience with. Think of your metre ruler. How many centimetres are there on that metre ruler? Have a think what the answer you think is. Is it 10, 100 or 1,000? There are 100 centimetres in a metre. Now think of the ruler you use in class. In one of those small centimetres, how many millimetres fit? 10, 100 or 1,000? It is 10. So the only extra measurements you need to remember are that there's 100 centimetres in a metre and 10 millimetres in a centimetre. Okay, when we're converting different units of measurement, you need to think carefully about whether your numbers are going to get bigger or smaller. I've got here a demonstration of that. This is much, much larger than 1 centimetre. It's like an enlargement of a centimetre. But 1 centimetre is made up of 10 millimetres. Because a millimetre is a smaller unit of measurement, we'll need more of them to take up the same amount of space. 1 centimetre. Because it's a bigger unit of measurement, it's just one of them needed. But when we break that down into smaller parts, we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them to fit. So the smaller the unit of measurement is, the more of them and the larger the number will be. Another example here then, you can see this ruler here is measuring 5 centimetres. That's been converted into millimetres, and remember, a millimetre is one of those tiny little increments. It is a small unit of measurement. That means my number needs to get bigger. There are 10 millimetres in 1 centimetre. You can see the centimetres being measured up here and the millimetres being measured here. 1 centimetre is 10 millimetres. So if we counted in tens, that would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. 50 millimetres. Okay, at this point, I would like you please to watch what I'm doing and copy this chart onto your piece of paper. This conversion chart is going to help you, so you need to make sure you're writing it down on your piece of paper. When you're doing it, you're going to want a couple of different coloured pens and pencils to make it extra clear for you. So if you can, or if you need to, just pause the video now and make sure you've got, let's say, 4 different coloured pens. If you don't have different coloured pens, don't worry, it will still be clear without them, but with coloured pens, it will be much, much clearer. Okay, the first part then that you're going to write down on your piece of paper is the kilogram to gram section. In fact, I'm just going to start completely over again and show you what to do from the beginning. I want you to start in black with kilograms on one side, leave a space and grams on the other side. Then in one colour, blue, on the top, you're going to show what you need to do to get from kilograms to grams. Remember, grams is a smaller unit of measurement, so we need more of them. That means we have to times our number, and there are 1,000 grams in a kilogram, so we times by 1,000. In your other colour, underneath, you're going to show how you get from grams to kilograms. Kilograms are the big unit of measurement, so we need a smaller number. We'd actually divide by 1,000. Okay, now underneath that, in the black, you're going to write litres and millilitres. Again, millilitres are the small unit of measurement. So to get from litres to millilitres, you'll times by 1,000. On the bottom, in your other colour, to show what you do going from the small unit of measurement to the big unit of measurement, you'll need a smaller number, so you'll have to divide by 1,000. Okay, for the next one, you're going to need to make sure you've got enough space. So if you need to, just pause the video and watch me doing it first. We're going to start on the left-hand side, just like before, with our kilometres and our metres. Because remember, that's the one that does follow the rule of metric measurements. There are 1,000 metres in a kilometre, so we times by 1,000 to get smaller. Sorry, to use our smaller unit of measurement, and to use our bigger unit of measurement, we divide by 1,000. Then, in a different colour, I'm going to choose green. You're going to put your units of measure that don't fit the pattern, centimetres and millimetres. Okay, so in blue, along the top, to get to centimetres, we need to know how many centimetres in a metre, and that is, of course, 100. To get to millimetres, we need to know how many millimetres in a metre, and that is just 10. Going the other way then, to get from millimetres to centimetres, we divide by 10, and to get from centimetres to metres, we divide by 100. Please make sure somewhere on your piece of paper you've got these conversion charts to help you, because it's really, really essential that you know how to get from these different units of measurement. Right, I'm going to model a couple of these questions before it's your turn. Even if you think you know how to do this, I would actually say that converting different units of measure from metric systems, whilst it's one of the easiest things to do in Year 6 maths, is one of the things that has the most silly errors. And so I need you to make sure you're watching how to do it a couple of times first, even if you're feeling confident. Remember, just because you're feeling confident doesn't mean you're actually getting it right. So we're going to start off by going through these 3 sentences here. First, we say what we're converting from and to. We are converting from centimetres, because I know my centimetres, to millimetres. I don't know what it is in millimetres. That's my first sentence. We're converting from centimetres to millimetres. Now I need to know how many millimetres there are in a centimetre. There are 10 millimetres in a centimetre. Okay? Now I know I'm either going to be timesing or dividing by 10. This is the bit that people struggle with, whether or not to times or divide. If I'm starting with the bigger unit of measurement and I'm going to the smaller unit of measurement, I'm getting smaller. It's actually the opposite of what you think. If our unit of measurement gets smaller, our number has to get bigger. I times by 10. I'm going to the small unit of measurement, so I need my number to be bigger. If that's a bit difficult for you, just use your graph up here. You're starting from centimetres to millimetres, so you're looking at the arrow going this way. That means you're timesing by 10. I'd then do 26 times 10, getting one place bigger on my place value chart, 260 millimetres. Next question. Again, watch me do it first. Question 1, or part 1. We are converting from millimetres this time to centimetres. There are 10 millimetres in a centimetre. Now this is the hard bit. We're going from the small one to the big one. We're going to the bigger unit of measurement, which means our number doesn't get bigger, it gets smaller. Therefore, we need to divide by 10. 430 divided by 10. One place smaller, 43. Remember, if this part here doesn't make sense yet, you can also use this up here. From millimetres to centimetres, that's divide 10. So I've got 2 ways for you to work out what to do. Please make sure you continue watching a couple more examples. In fact, I know this is in green, so what we're going to do is I'm going to write you another example here. I would like to show you how I'm going to go from 2.5 kilograms to grams. Okay, I'm going to show you this one as well. We are converting from kilograms to grams. There are, now remember how many there are? There are 1,000 grams in a kilogram. I'm going to the small unit of measurement, so I need to times. Therefore, we need to times by how many? 1,000. I now need to do 2.5 times by 1,000. Down, 1, 2, 3. Down, 1, 2, 3. Put my placeholders in. it will be 2,500 grams. I'm going to show you one more before you have a go by yourself. I want you to go, or I'm going to show you how to go from 120 meters to kilometers. Okay, we are converting from meters to kilometers. How many meters in a kilometer? There are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. I'm going to the big unit of measurement. So remember, it's the big unit of measurement, the number gets smaller. It's the opposite. So I need to divide by 1,000. 120 divided by 1,000. Down, 1, 2, 3. Down, 1, 2, 3. 0 there. 0.12 kilometers. Okay, I'd like you to have a go at this question. You're going from milliliters to liters. From milliliters to liters. There are 1,000 milliliters in a litre. You're going to the big unit of measurement, so you need to divide. Can you pause the video now and have a go at this question? How many litres are in 5,673 millilitres? You can either use this table here or you can use this here to help you. Okay, so in order to do this question successfully, you needed to do 5,673, 5,673. We're going to the big unit of measurement, so our number gets smaller. Down, 1, 2, 3, down, 1, 2, 3, down, 1, 2, 3, and 5 there. 5.673 litres. Well done if you did that correctly. On your piece of paper, I should see where you have done your place value multiplication or division. If I can't see that, that means you've tried to do it in your head and you're more likely to make a mistake. So if you didn't do it this time, make sure you do it for the next one. Okay, you're going to have a go at this one as well. Write question 20 on your piece of paper and convert 4.5 kilograms into grams. Either use this chart here or this chart here. Off you go. All right, I'm going to go through this one. If you haven't finished, make sure you pause the video and finish it, and then you can unpause it to go through the answer. We're converting from kilograms to grams. There are 1,000 grams in a kilogram. Okay, I'm going to the little unit of measurement, so I need to times. Timesing by 1,000. 4.5 times by 1,000. Down, 1, 2, 3. Down, 1, 2, 3. Even though I know how to times these numbers in my head, I'm still using the place value method to make sure I get it correct. So should you. Okay, you're going to try question 21 now. 3.1 centimetres into millimetres. If you haven't been getting the questions right so far, you need to either use this or this in order to help you. Remember, you can go back and rewatch my previous examples where I've gone through how to do it in order to support you. Pause the video and try question 21 on your piece of paper. I'm going to go through question 21 now. We're converting from centimetres to millimetres. Okay, how many millimetres in a centimetre? There are 10 millimetres in a centimetre. I'm going to millimetres, which is small, so I need to times by 10. 3.1 times by 10, down 1, down 1. 31 millimetres. I could also have said to myself, okay, I'm starting at centimetres, going to millimetres. That means I'm timesing by 10. Okay, 41 grams to kilograms. Solve it either using this or using this. Pause the video and answer question 22. Okay, I'm going from grams to kilograms. I'll use this time. From grams to kilograms. Starting with grams, going to kilograms. So I need to divide by 1,000. 41 goes here, and I move it 3 places to the right. Down, 1, 2, 3. Down, 1, 2, 3. Placeholders there. 0.041 kilograms. Okay, you may also have a question like this, where you're asked to do some addition. Before you can do the addition, you need to do your conversion. I would convert kilograms into grams. I know there are 1,000 grams in a kilogram, so 4 kilograms will be 4,000 grams. Add 32 grams, is equal to 4,032 grams. Can you have a go at question 23? Convert centimetres into millimetres and add them together. Pause the video and do question 23. I'm going to go through the answers to question 23, so make sure you've had a go by yourself first. If you haven't done it, please pause the video. Right, 3 centimetres into millimetres. Right, centimetres to millimetres. I need to times by 10. 3 times 10 is 30 millimetres. 300 millimetres, add 30 millimetres will give me 330 millimetres. Well done if you got that question correct. What I'd like you to do now is have a go at questions 24 to 28. You've had plenty of practice and you've got this chart up here to help you if you get stuck. You can also go back and watch the earlier parts of the video where I was going through how to do it. The common mistakes that children make are that they're not going to be careful enough by seeing if they're timesing or dividing by 100,000 or 10. Just to make it clear to you as well, I'm going to fill in here, this decimal point is part of the question number. So that hopefully makes it a little bit clearer. 8 kilometres into metres, 1,200 metres into kilometres, 2,500 metres into kilometres, 8,000 grams to kilograms and 25 kilograms to grams. Pause the video and convert all of those, please. OK, I'm going to move on now. If you haven't finished doing those, please make sure you pause the video and have a go. OK, what I'd like you to have a go at doing now then, this is a bit of a challenge for you. So if you're finding it a little bit tricky, good, it's meant to be a little bit tricky. You're going to have a go at solving question 29 to 32. In these ones, you've got an addition or a subtraction, but you've got different units of measure. So all you'll need to do first, just like we did for the previous one, first you need to convert it, then you need to do the subtraction to find your missing number. Remember, you've got your conversion chart here at the top to help you if you need support. Pause the video now and do questions 29 to 32 on your piece of paper. OK, so hopefully now you've had a go at doing all of those questions and we're going to start going through the answers. Please make sure on your piece of paper you've done 32 questions. If you haven't done 32 questions, that means you must have missed one of my questions from earlier in the video. So in the next maths lesson, make sure you're paying attention carefully. Here are your answers for the last group of questions. OK. I can see that I have made the mistake I warned you guys not to make. So that's 8,000 metres. The next one is 1.2 kilometres, 2.5 kilometres, 8 kilograms and 2,500 grams. Mark them correct if you got them right. In the next group then, 5 litres was 5,000 millilitres. Then you take away 34 and you've got 4,966. Or if you did it in litres, it would be 4.966. For this question here, you were told to put it into kilograms, but also remember, if you did it in litres, it's not correct. You're asked for it in millilitres. So this one, you're asked to put it into kilograms. 4.32 grams times that, divide that by 1,000 and you've got 0.432. Add that together, you've got 5.632. Here you're asked for centimetres, so this needs to change. Times it by 100, that's 334. Meters. I can see here I've made a mistake. That's why it's important to check your work. So 3.34 meters into centimeters times that by 100. So actually what you're doing is 334 add 987. OK, 4 add 7 is 11, 3 add 8 is 11, add 1 is 12, 3 add 9 add 1 is 13. So I'd say that's 1,321 centimeters. Because I've rushed through that, I might have made a mistake, so let me know in your comments if it's wrong. And then finally, 56 litres subtract to 986 millilitres. That's going to be 56,000 litres, and we're taking away 986 millilitres. So that's going to be 55,014 millilitres. OK, at this point, I know that you've worked really hard all through the lesson, but I'd like you to have a go at this final reasoning problem. It's a little bit harder. On this piece of paper, on your piece of paper, just write the word challenge, and what you need to do is just read the information. It says, estimate and underline the most accurate statements for a running track. Which of these could be right? Write down if you think it's right. There are actually more than one possible answers here. It has half of a 1,600 metre circumference. It is 100 metres long. It has a volume of 150 centimetres cubed. Then the same thing for a door. I estimate and underline the most accurate statements for a door. It is 2.4 metres times 3/4 of a metre tall. It has an area of 10 metres squared, or it has an area of 3 metres squared. Have a little go at those questions and write down the statements you think might be true. I'd be really interested to see what you say when you upload your work onto Seesaw. Well done everyone who's been paying attention to today's lesson, and well done if you managed to have a go at all 32 independent questions. If you're missing some of the questions because you're getting used to the new format, please make sure tomorrow you're answering all of the questions in green. Well done for working so hard, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much. Bye.